Hey, friends, I'm so glad to have you with us today. I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis, and we're just going to talk briefly today about something that I think is really interesting. It's called emotional adulthood versus emotional childhood. And it's not necessarily what it sounds like. So we're going to get into that in just a second. So if you are interested in hearing about what this is and how it can make your life better once you understand it, then stay tuned. Awesome. Let's get into it.
I'm Dr. Charlie Hornis, highly anxious people pleaser turned master certified professional life coach. Learning to manage my brain was so life-changing for me that I got certified so that I could teach these incredible evidence-based practices to you. Are you ready for massive change? Let's go.
All right. So today's topic is foundational. It is a very important part of understanding thought work and learning to manage your brain. What this is the difference between how we react versus how we respond to our emotional life. So it's going to change how you think about your own emotional life. And sometimes your brain might be a little resistant to these kinds of ideas. And that's okay. It's supposed to. Our brains don't like change, right? So let me explain why this matters. If you feel constantly like the world is happening to you, left feeling frustrated, stressed, reactive, then this is for you. Because I used to feel that way and I didn't understand why. It was super frustrating, constantly felt like I was out of control, in charge of my feelings. It felt like people could manipulate my own emotional life and that I wasn't in control of it. And that's not true. But I just didn't know it at the time. So what is emotional adulthood? Emotional adulthood is about taking full responsibility for your own feelings. You realize that your thoughts, not external events, but your thoughts, the words that are running through your brain, those create the emotions you feel in your body. And often you hear us talk here, my guests and I, about the way that our emotional life and our feelings can manifest physiologically in our bodies. That's why you hear a lot of my guests talk about, well, where do you feel something? Where is it? How does it feel? What is that about? Can you describe it? Can you name it? That's why you hear about somatic training. That's why you hear about things like tapping and just a lot of physiological practices, because what we're feeling is actually within our bodies. And it's really hard to control when you're in the middle of feeling. So when we realize that the external events that are happening around us that are technically neutral, that those things are not what create the physiological reactions in our bodies. What it is the thoughts that we have around those situations, the thoughts that are generated by these circumstances. And that is what we're talking about when we say we're going to take responsibility for our own emotional life, our own feelings, because they're ours. And we're not out of control. Other people do not control how we feel. Other people do not cause our feelings. It is the words that are generating through our brains that cause our feelings. And you've heard me say this before. Why do we cry at movies? You don't know those people, right? And yet your brain is entirely immersed in a story and it's causing emotion in your body. That's what this is. Your thoughts are responding to something your eyes are watching on a screen. The fact is, light is coming out of a moving picture camera or whatever, and it's being projected onto a flat screen. That's the facts. Now, how your brain interprets the moving pictures and the audio that you hear is different for everybody. So it's the same thing. And yet you still cry potentially when you're watching these moving pictures. Isn't that interesting? I do. I think it is. So we have to talk about ownership of our feelings. When you're living in emotional adulthood, what you do is you stop blaming other people for how you're feeling. And you start to own your own thoughts that are creating your feelings. So instead of projecting everything out, everything's happening to me, I have no control. This person, that person, the other. We turn it within and we take a look at what can we be responsible for in the situation. Often it's our thoughts. So, for example, if somebody cancels plans with you and you're upset and maybe you start thinking this person doesn't care about you, maybe you'd put a lot of time into the planning and then last minute they call and say they have a sick kid or whatever. And you're like, do they really? Do they just not want to hang out with me? And you spin out and you're not feeling great the rest of the night because this event happened. And you can sit there and say, this person doesn't love me. This person made me feel fill in the blank. I don't feel appreciated. All the things. You can sit there and do that. Or you can identify, you don't know what's going on in the actual life and brain of the other person. You don't know for a fact what's going on with them. What you're doing is you're speculating. That's what you're doing. You have ideas, but they're not based in any kind of evidence of anything that's, any kind of fact, concrete fact, like, light and pictures being projected on a flat screen. That is happening. Everyone can agree. How you feel about the video, that's subjective. The fact that it's happening, that's real. So when we take full responsibility of our own emotions, we understand that nobody is causing the emotions that are in our bodies. What's causing the emotion is our thoughts about whatever the situation is. Other people are not causing the emotion within us. They're not. We may think they are, but again, that's a thought. So then what is emotional childhood? Emotional childhood is the opposite. It's when we do not take responsibility for our own feelings. This looks like, and again, a lot of people don't even know they're doing this. So it's not a judgment. There's nothing wrong with you. But once you understand the information, it can be powerful and life-changing. When you understand that other people do not have that kind of control over you. But when we're living in emotional childhood, we're blaming other people for how we feel. We're making other people responsible. The problem with that is that we do not have any power in the situation, and we believe we cannot change it. So we put ourselves in a powerless situation. And that is very difficult. So we've basically given away all of our power, and we believe that we cannot change the situation. What we want to do is own that how we feel about any situation, no matter what it is our choice. We get to decide the words that run through our brains. We get to decide if we believe that something has evidence or not. Let's take an example. Let's say your partner comes home late from work. We're assuming this is someone you trust, right? If there's more going on, then that's not what I'm talking about. Someone you trust. So they come home late and you can be furious. You can, freeze them out and pretend like you don't care, or to feel loving towards that person. You can choose to sit down and ask them what kept them. You can choose to have a conversation. But if you sit there and you just assume that your partner doesn't respect you because they weren't able to come home on time, they missed dinner, they didn't call. Well, sure, we want our partners to be responsible in those ways, but that's their stuff, right? That's for them. And if it becomes a habit and you're not okay with it and it is not something you find acceptable, then you have to address the problem. However, if it's a one-time thing, you can choose to totally freak out and be furious and assume all kinds of things that probably aren't true, or at least you have no evidence for. Or you can sit down and decide, I don't like the thoughts that I'm having, all of these ideas that are running through my brain about what this person could be off doing. We could just have a conversation because I trust this person. I'm in a partnership with this person. I love this person. I have a home with this person. And I'm assuming that their intentions are good. When we don't take those opportunities to sit and talk to someone that we catch ourselves speculating around, it's a missed opportunity for connection. And it's a missed opportunity to feel love. Because we can choose to feel love at any time. We can choose to participate in a loving exchange. We can choose how we want to feel about somebody based on what we think about somebody. So if we're living in emotional childhood, we are knee-jerk reacting. We are living in reactivity. We are not in control of our own emotional life. We are not in control of regulating our own emotions. We are not in control of taking responsibility for our own emotions. And we're giving away our power and our choice in all situations. And we're letting other people basically be like a puppeteer. You never know when you live like that if you're going to wake up and how your day's going to go, because you are under the impression the world around you is responsible for how you feel internally. So when we say emotional childhood, it's not about being a child, and it's not an insult, and it's not a knock. Adults are emotional children all the time. It's very hard to be intentional and respond in the moment that is choosing love, that is choosing the opportunity for connection, the opportunity for intimate conversation. If I think a person is a jerk, I'm choosing to feel that that person is a jerk. I'm choosing that. Or I can choose to assume that I don't have evidence for why they're being a jerk, why they're having a bad day. And I can choose to understand that They could be all kinds of things. I mean, if I'm speculating about them being a jerk, maybe I could speculate about them being frustrated or not having a good night's sleep last night or leaving during the day for lunch and coming back after having a fight with a partner. I don't know. We can speculate about anything we want. The problem with our brains is that the first thought that comes to our minds is typically what we latch onto, and we assume it's true. It's not. It's just a thought. And you can have many more of them in a moment. I mean, what are the numbers? It's like 60,000. I know it's big. It might be 60,000 thoughts we have in a day. We have that many thoughts, and our brain just kind of plucks out the ones that make sense with the survival piece and keeping us safe. And so assuming the worst puts us on our guard. And then we're paying attention, right? That doesn't mean it's true at all. So the difference is that you're responsible for what is going on based on how you choose to think about it. So you can experience joy. You can experience love. You can experience happiness and elation and wonder and awe just based on how you choose to think throughout the day. And try it. Try putting a different thought on. Try putting it on like you're changing clothes and give it some time and see how it changes your feelings. I've got a place now where I can put everybody's resources in one storefront. What's really cool is when you use the what we call affiliate links, and I'm now becoming an affiliate for a whole bunch of different things. It's all on my website at charliehornesscoaching.com, and it's on the bonus resources page. What happens is when you purchase something off of that, a portion of it goes back to the show. And so what you're doing basically when you buy from there is you're supporting the show at no additional cost to you, which is kind of like the coolest thing ever. It's going to help us continue to create content for you and bring on incredible guests that are, they blow my mind. So I'm hoping they will blow your mind too, whether it's metaphysics and psychology and theology or high fantasy romance. You're going to find your next favorite read right there. Let's go. You can choose to unconditionally love people in your life despite anything that they do. If you don't want to believe somebody's a jerk, if you don't want to feel that way about them, you don't have to. You don't have to allow or give your power away to other people and their choice of behavior. You can just love them. You can understand they don't know how to manage their own minds, that they don't understand that what they think is not based in anything that's real. And you can have empathy for that. And you can walk around this entire world full of unconditional love for everybody and everything. Now, it doesn't mean that, we approve of behavior that we find intolerable. Of course not. But it means that you can feel love anytime you want. If you're mad at that partner, you have to ask yourself, is that how you want to feel about that person in your life? Do you want to feel mad and angry? Because you can continue to do that. You can continue to feel that way, and you can continue to blame the person that seemingly you believe is causing your feelings of mad, your feelings of anger. But you have to ask yourself, is that serving you? Is that serving the relationship? Is that how you want to feel and think about this person that is in your life? They're in your life for a reason, clearly. If you don't feel those ways, they shouldn't be in your life, right? So what thought and feeling is going to better serve you? What thought and feeling is going to create connection? What thought and feeling is going to push you through your day on a cloud of unconditional love, right? I mean, you can choose that at any time. You can. So emotional childhood is when we believe other people's situations are responsible for our feeling. And again, that's giving the power away. This disempowers you. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm blaming myself for my feelings, blah, blah, blah. No, you're taking power back. You're giving yourself choice in a situation. Whereas when you're living in emotional childhood, you have no choice. You've given it all away. You're assuming that other people's behavior and actions creates how you feel. You give away your power by blaming other people or circumstances for how you feel. So you have that choice. And we often default to emotional childhood because it just feels easier. It's easier to not take responsibility and to put the onus on another person for how we feel. It's just easier. It's lazy, honestly. And I'm not being judgmental because I was lazy for many years emotionally, just because I didn't know, I didn't understand. But what this does is comes at a cost to losing your emotional control over your emotional life. And when you can empower yourself again, and I don't mean that in the used word empower. I mean, literally take power back and have power and control over your choices. So, we're going into the holiday season and I have some master classes that I am offering during this season because this is a very difficult time for many people going into the holidays. If you're just interested in those masterclass bundles or the coaching packages that are available through the holidays, if you want some support, that's something I'm offering. You can go to charliehornesscoaching.com/flash sale because for the next few weeks, I have those at special prices before I actually launch them officially. So, they're sort of lead-ins to some bigger courses I'm going to be dropping in the first of the year that really focus for a pretty in-depth period on some of these topics. But since the holidays are coming, let's use a holiday example. So you may be sitting at the table and you're hosting a holiday meal for the first time, and maybe a parent comes over and they passive aggressively make a comment that, during whatever, we'll call it Thanksgiving. I'm Western and celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. And say your parent makes some passive aggressive comment about how this meal isn't what their expectations would want met. And if you're in emotional childhood, you might think, wow, my parent really thinks I'm a failure. I failed at providing a nice holiday meal. And you may react frustrated, respond with your own passive aggressive comments, and the holiday may go down the tubes really quickly. And now you're not talking. Or you can recognize that you have no idea what's behind the comment. You don't know what they mean by that. There could be so many things behind that. You don't know. They could be having some, nostalgic knee-jerk reaction because something is reminding them of when they were a child. So, celebrating a holiday meal and their parents are now gone and they go down this rabbit hole and now they're frustrated. I mean, we don't know what's going on in people's brains, even those closest to us. And so you could instead choose to recognize that your thoughts about somebody else's words are what's creating the feeling within you. And then you can take your power back, and instead of letting somebody else and their thoughts, which by the way, aren't real either, they're not grounded in anything factual. Instead of giving that your power, you can realize their thoughts aren't real either. Whatever's going on, whatever causes that thought process that caused their feelings, that caused their mouth to open and say something ugly to you, you don't know why. And even if you asked, you may not get a straight answer. And even if they gave you what they thought was a straight answer, it's still a biased answer based on their story and experience. So you can either choose to interpret and get frustrated, or you can choose a different response. So there's a real quick 5-step process here from shifting from emotional childhood to emotional adulthood. So let's just go through this real quick and we'll wrap it up. So the first thing is step 1, you have to be aware of your emotions. If you're not aware of your emotions, you have to practice becoming aware. That's why you hear a lot of my guests, especially the mental health providers, talking about feeling stuff in your body. You can feel stuff quickly. You don't have to have a thought about it. You feel it. I feel this. And where is it? Okay, so start practicing. I feel this. What does that mean? Where is it in your body? It's you recognizing when you're feeling triggered or your button is pushed or whatever. That is the first step. You have got to become aware of your emotions. Then you need to identify what you're thinking in the moment you're having emotions that feel yucky. Question your thoughts. Ask yourself, do I have evidence for this? What am I thinking that's causing this? And then the third step is the hardest one. It's own your thoughts. It can be the hardest. You have to take responsibility for your thoughts and your feelings. And this is the shift here. My jam is mind shift. I really believe that when we lean into this work, we can change the way we see our reality. We can be rocketed into a new dimension of perspective in the world and the way we see things and the way we respond to things. And we start to, what my coach calls becoming a watcher of ourselves instead of living in this knee-jerk reaction all the time, the fight, flight, and freeze and fawn. Once we get a handle on that and we understand what's going on, we can start to be aware and take responsibility. And step 3, own our thoughts. This is the shift that I'm talking about. This is the shift of our reality. Then the 4th step would be, consider what would you rather feel instead about this person? If it's your partner, well, maybe you want to feel love instead of anger. Okay, well, what could you think to create that new feeling? Decide whether your current thought is serving you or if you could choose something that is a more helpful one. And then you've got to practice. You've got to practice the shift. This is a little shift. A lot of what I teach is big shifts, right? This is a little one. This is shifting from emotional childhood of blaming others to starting to own the thoughts we're having in our brains and identifying that those thoughts create our feelings. And our feelings create how we react to other people. And at any time, we can choose to change that. Again. So shifting to emotional adulthood is a practice. It's a self-discipline. It is like, you hear about meditation and things like that. You got to practice every day. Otherwise, it's not going to be there when you need it. You have to practice it when you're not getting your buttons pushed, because then you'd have no control. So every time you catch yourself, you're strengthening this owning muscle, this responsibility muscle, but it's also strengthening you taking your power back in your own life. And that's the key. So as we think about the holidays starting to come, this is my jam right now. This is like my preseason to the show. This is my show. This is when we gear up for the hard stuff. And the holiday season is tough. And this is when I do some of my best work, because this is when the buttons get pushed. This is when the pressure hits. This is the pressure cooker when people actually need to learn how to manage their minds. Because why? You're overloaded with work stuff. It's the end of the year, school stuff. A lot of people have to, they consider going home. That's not always a safe thing for a lot of people. There's a lot of loss around the holidays. there's just so much. It is a myriad of joy and heartbreak. And when we're trying to deal with the holiday stress, one of the most important things we need to realize is this piece about emotional adulthood versus emotional childhood. And we have plenty of time between now and when, at least here, the Western holidays start. They start with Halloween. You want some coaching? Come on. We can practice and get you ready for the holidays, because family dynamics, high expectations, the chaos that happens, the snide remarks, people overwhelmed, and then the comments. And, we take it even more personally a lot of the time when it's somebody that we know, that we love, that we don't expect to say such things to us. So it's the perfect time to practice shifting, to shift into this new place. So that's our key takeaway for today, that you can shift into emotional adulthood at any time and stop letting, let's not even use passive language, because it's like, stop letting external circumstances and other people control you. No, take your power back. Don't let external circumstances or other people control you. They don't have to control how you feel. Look, if you want to change your feelings, if you want to love rather than be mad, you change your thought about the person. Even at the holiday dinner table, you can change your thought right there. It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks, says, does, or feels. It doesn't matter. It's not based in anything that's real. It is their story and their experience. When you're sitting at that holiday table and you're thinking, this person's a horrible person, and you're sharing a meal with them, that doesn't make sense. Do you want to feel that way about this person? Even if you feel that they make bad choices. And you have to differentiate between the person being horrible and you having a thought that the person is horrible. Because your thought isn't fact. And they're seeing things very differently than you are. So, and then you have to ask yourself, is this really what you want to think about this person sitting at your holiday table? Do you want to believe this about them and feel this way about them? Is that what you want? Because if not, you need to take your power back, and then you can feel and think however you want about somebody, regardless of whatever they think, say, do, or feel. If you want to change your thought about the person, you can. And when you change your thought about the person, you change the relationship. And it only takes one person in a relationship who understands thought work to solve problems in relationships. That's it. You take responsibility for your stuff. A different thought creates a different emotion, which creates a different relationship with the other person. And you have to ask yourself, is that how you want to feel about them? Because if it's not, you need to change that thought. So if you want to go deeper with some of this, that's kind of just a quick overview. You can grab my holiday confidence Kickstarter masterclass. And basically, we're going to break all of this down, and I'm going to show you how to rewrite this negative self-talk and rewire your emotional reactivity in another course that I have offered. Right now, I'm flash selling them. So I really think this is an important time for people this holiday season. Like I said, this is my big show, my go time. And, I want people to learn how to stay calm and responsive rather than reactive in even the most stressful moments. And we do this by practice. So you can go to charliehornetscoaching.com/flash sale. And that is where you can grab there's several different little packages there. So just, help yourself. And if spots are available, you'll see it there. If not, they'll be sold out. And the other thing is I have a quiz. If you don't know, some of the packages involve the pathways that I'm creating for this large digital course that I'm going to have out in a few months. And if you don't know your pathway, I have the confidence mastery pathway and the resilience mastery pathway. One is more internal on how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. The other one is external about, like I said, these situations around you causing you seemingly to feel how you feel. So if you're not sure which one of those that you would fall into, then grab my quiz. Just go to charliehornesscoaching.com/quiz. And this quiz is for you to discover what thought pattern is sabotaging your success. And it will give you a pretty tailored response to the questions you answer. And hopefully it will provide you with lots of information. So it's free. Go check it out. And you'll find the rest of the stuff on the website. But I want you to understand that emotional adulthood is the key to mastering your own emotional life. And it is available at any time to you. You just have to pick it up. If you're ready to stop reacting and start choosing how you want to show up in this world, then go check out my flash sale. So charliehornesscoaching.com/flash sale. So anyway, you got this, and let's make this the most peaceful, stress-free holiday season yet. So go check out the website, take the quiz, and I will talk to you soon. Enjoy.